Good morning. New all-time highs. We cannot stop this market. As wacky as it trades intraday, it really just forces you out to a higher time frame. I mean, the last few days anyway, but this is what we expected with this slowing in momentum. It stayed right, not only in the upper half, it stayed in the upper 10% of the wide range bar. So buying the dip, what dip? it kind of like just kind of takes a couple of steps back, if not even a couple of steps. And, there it is, just tight little trading range that was going on there. And just looking at, oh, yes, that's not yesterday. That was overnight. Um, Yesterday was a little wacky. Well, just up, down, up, down, up, down. But that's a trading range. Just in a smaller time frame with such a tight trading range, it's just going to be play havoc with trying to do things intraday. So little back off from 4,100 as to be expected. Um, as it was trending up and then made that accelerated move toward the end to get toward the end. In retrospect, of course, it was the end. But when you see an accelerated move after something is trending, whatever it is, futures, stocks, ETF, it's going to rest. So now that it's backed off from there, we can drag this up because those 2 days of going sideways has created an intraday trading range. So after a resting period, prices shouldn't fall back below the area that it created support. So here's the concept, right, of creating support where there is none. You had the move. Here was the acceleration. And rather than pull back as it did here, it went sideways. Well, it did pull back. If we were looking at this on a 5-minute chart, you'd see a pullback, of course. But on the hourly chart here, it didn't pull back to minor support where there's major support. It went sideways. And these pivots, we had opposing pivots. And by definition, in an MTS course, opposing pivots communicate to you uncertainty and chop. And so overnight, unfortunately, it happened overnight, wide range bar, retest, bottoming tail bar, taking out the low and the move up. So now pulling back a bit, this could actually, we could bring this up here and just say, pullbacks should be bought in this area, right? The top of those bars. Or it consolidates up here and continues to push higher. So on a smaller time frame, we see the pivots forming, trying to bottom out. Look to the left. There's your support point, and we'll see if this is ready to move up through here. Now, as we look at the weekly chart, and I was looking at this just before I started speaking, and this is beginning to accelerate. Whereas you see how the bars are overlapping here, bottoming tail bar. It's not a terrible type of what we call a self-correcting uptrend, but in a sense, it corrects along the way because it doesn't accelerate on the weekly time frame. So this little retest pattern, this is starting to take on the look of something that would accelerate. Now, where this ends tomorrow and what it does next week is the unknown. But if we should see this begin to push higher, whereas, bar by bar, the bars you can see here start off where the other one ends gapped up. It did not fill the gap during the week and begins to push up in a vertical type manner. And that would require this consolidation to begin to move up, of course, in the same way. We could be darn sure that this is getting close to some type of sizable pullback or the end of this move. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but when we see charts create historical pictures that preceded something else, right? In this case, an accelerated move, we know that historically prices are going to retrace. So take that thought into next week, and we'll see how this develops. Right now, prices pushed up toward a big reference number and began to pull back, and we'll see how that holds up during the trading day. Right? Yeah. So type of an accelerated move sideways, not even a pullback of 50%, not 30%. I don't even think that's, well, maybe it's 25% by the tails, but the bodies are just nailed right at the top there and creating that same support level after an accelerated move. And now momentum is beginning to stall as it approaches the old all-time high. So I'm just going to take a look at XLK actually. Let's take a look at that. Is that what has been lagging and the whole story of money coming out of tech? And obviously it was. And it just accelerating back up. And this is sort of an MO of this market in that you see it from intraday. Here you see it happen over several few weeks of bearishness, sell, to, hey, bull market again. And we talked about this head and shoulders type of a bottom. And the thing is that this market just moves like others that haven't, even intraday, where things are uncertain and all of a sudden all the funds pour in at the same time, as if they got the memo, hit the button. And we saw that near the end of the day yesterday, with a sell-off. There was a little, not anything of significance here, but and it didn't even get down to a support. I mentioned this in the green room, is that here this was correcting, other things were, and historically this would pull back toward this low, and at the end of the day probably just hang there. Well, not this market, right? It's going down. You get a continuation pattern, the topping tail, a couple of bars down, and it just rips to the upside. And this is historically unusual, but just pointing that out for those that are newer to the markets, that type of reversal, especially at the end of the day, is not typical. All right, let's take a look at the Russell, which has been lagging, right? That pulled back, has dropped off here. So where it came up to this resistance area, now it's coming into this little support area in the 50, and we'll see if this can turn around. And you can see over the last several weeks, it's just been going nowhere. Bonds up here a little bit, kind of just hanging there at the lows on that support. That's the 30-year, that's the 10-year. You can see the downside momentum slowing. We talked about this yesterday in MT Live about bottoming patterns and how they begin to form and turn. So this is the beginnings of a bottoming pattern. Well, yeah. So McGraw, yeah, he's saying it looks like it's digesting the move, and that's digestion is always the case, right? In an uptrend. Now, whether that digestion turns into being a resting period and then a continuation or a topping pattern is unknown. So as things get whippy, and you can see this is type of acceleration move that I was speaking about when we first started talking about the S&P, where this was going up and sideways and correcting 180 reversal, and then it accelerates. And at that point, we would think, buy the pullback, buy the dip. Well, no, it went sideways for 3 weeks, and then it made a little dip under the inside bar, a little fake out and back up. Oh, it's going to roll over. No, back up again. And so now we could say, well, it's resting prior to a continuation move, or we always have to have two scenarios. So from the videos, from the newsletter, and what I always turning out two scenarios. So is it a resting period, or is it the beginning of a head and shoulders top? We don't know. And so either argument is well, maybe the resting period might be a little bit more valid because the trend is up, but we also know that topping patterns are wild and whippy. So we don't know yet. Right? So if this week closes red and it trades under here, well, that kind of leads a little bit more to the formation on the right side of this shoulder. We're waiting for that information to unfold and provide it to us. I'll get to the sentiment, Jacob. It's up there, but it's up there, and well, I'll get to it rather than diverge from this. Gold hanging in here. Right? I don't like buying at this point here, but it is holding up. And I think, just based on this, I think we'll need to buy a dip with a very large stop. But I like that it's the beginning of the day, but as long as this doesn't turn into a topping tail, that's looking pretty darn good. Silver, right? Kind of grinding higher within its downtrend. And oil, just a big mess. The transports still hanging, right? Kind of little minute Bear Island reversal with that gap down, but we've got the unfilled gap here, so really no big deal. Let's see if it flips back up again. If there's premium for a put spread on gold, but McGraw, we don't like to put on put spreads after a run into resistance. So the thing to have us to discuss that would have been on the wide range bar up, right, for a put spread down below here, or this bar. Now that it's at resistance, we could take some heat, and if we have to go out a week or so, who's to say that this can't come back down here and give us a better opportunity than to do something where it seems to be a no-brainer if there really was premium here. Yeah. So, yeah, let's take a look at those internals. So under normal conditions, right? I say that a lot about this market. Under normal conditions, this would be a screaming run for your life type of situation as far as reaching bearish sentiment. So this is just peekabooing to the first level. And so does this need to hit that upper band? Because historically, this is extremely bearish, moving average being above here. So we see here when it got above here and here, we got the correction, right? So, I mean, it was just a pullback, a little pullback into the 20. So this is saying danger, right? The markets are up here today, all-time highs. This hasn't hit that band, but I'm not saying that it needs to, because historically it's well above 0.80, and this is just poking above 100. Bullish day today could push this up higher, of course. And So we know, and we discussed this yesterday in the room. Accidents are beginning to happen, and that is one of the clues that the catch-up stocks, some of them that we put positions on over the last week or so, are beginning to fail. So not that they're stopping out, but we see some bearish price action. Right? So we'll see what today brings. Michael, this is, I just wrote an email to someone that detailed what it is, but I'll just say it quickly here, because you can create this. There's nothing proprietary about this. You can't, this here is the day-to-day total put call ratio. This is advancers minus decliners. This is a McClellan oscillator, which is a 19 exponential period moving average subtracted from a 39. Those moving averages are based on this data, right? So it plots the line, the difference, the space between the moving averages. This is based on this total put call ratio. This is a 5-period moving average of this data. And these bands, you can't see the 100-day moving average, but it's a 100-day moving average of this 5-day moving average with a 10% band above and below that 100-day and a 20% band above and below that 100-day. So there it is, right? We got some cautionary signs. The weekly chart still looks good. Yeah, Dan.
That sounded proprietary. Why don't you sell that for $5,000?
All right, I'm going to try and do that within the next 5 minutes. And if I get anything, I'll take you to lunch.
All right.
Okay, all yours.
Yeah, so yesterday we were talking about this amazing rally. Crazy intraday whips. Crazy intraday 15-minute whips yesterday. But when we come back and, looked at the daily chart, they look great. I mean, diamonds are lagging here today, but Qs are having a party, but they're just incredibly hard to get on board here. Let's see, Apple, that was my favorite new thing trade yesterday because all the other ones are so extended here. Netflix, Amazon, up 7 bars, Google gapping all-time highs, Spiders gapping all-time highs. It's the bull part is intact. I mean, I was telling Debbie yesterday, we will still trade the bullish case, but said the more overbought we get, and those internals Greg just went over, we got one foot out the door. We'll ride the waves, they're musical chairs, whatever analogy you want, but the place to get on board was when we pushed the throttle last Wednesday, Thursday, and even Monday. We were very, very, very active. We still have a bunch of open positions. They all look great. So just ask me if you have any question on anything. On PayPal, we did a put spread yesterday. I see that gapping up yesterday's high. That looks great. MA, I mean, you can review them yourself. APRE. And gapping up. Yeah, that's a bullish gap. We were talking about bottoming patterns, right, at MT Live yesterday. And this is not a good bottoming pattern because there's no signs of a bottom. But now today is a gap breakout. So that today is the possible event bar. You see it gapped up here. It's way off its pre-market high. So we'll just have to come back to it. APRE. Hey, Jim, if you can put your drop down on panelists and attendees. And Jim's asking about in the video. Yeah, I mean, it's a continuation pattern. Looks higher. I actually have MU. Also is an idea. It's at resistance here, but that it's sideways 4 bars at resistance in a bullish weekly. That's a put spread idea. Qualcomm, yeah, looks great. Looks like it's headed to 145, 150. We actually talked about this in MT Live yesterday, and we were short the naked puts, where we said we didn't mind being assigned the stock. But yeah, that let's put that on our list for a day trade. I'll put them here. Um, Piton, Piton, we are going to do a put spread. Another beautiful bottoming pattern at the 200 with the 20 MA flattening out. We talked about this in MT Live. And so, yeah, we're ready to sell a put spread for next week on that. That's Thomas STZ. Yeah, I have it right here. It's gapping down. So 225. It's a bearish gap to support. If it otherwise was turning out to be a nice 1, 2, 3, 100% retracement, price Roy to 240, but now the gap it's destroyed. So I don't know. We gotta see what it wants to do with the open. XLV we talked about yesterday with Debbie. I think Debbie was in this. There's nothing to do with it. It's going sideways here, 8 bars in the upper half, but it's neutral. There's nothing to do with it. Para ICHR. ICHR, I don't know what to do with that. It's a strong uptrend, but it's far from the 20. So we have a rule that says buy setups after a climactic sell setup have low odds of working. Mara, it came down hard, negated this WRB, gapping up the resistance. I have no interest in it. Avid Campbell, did STJ have an igniting bar? STJ. Come on, data. It's okay. It says no symbol STJ. SJI. Oh, there. It's yes. 2 days ago was an igniting bar. Yeah. Yeah, John, we're in PayPal already as a put spread. We're in it on the weekly. We didn't get filled on the advisory letter one. But yeah, for a day trade, it has a void to 270, 275. So you can watch a 30-minute high. We like the broader market bias to be with us. And the fact that the Qs went sideways for two bars is actually bullish. So even though there's a lot of resistance to the left, it very well could go to 360, or 336, which would be another $2.50. So as long as the Qs hold up here, maybe 30-minute high, then yeah, I got a day trade bullish bias without a doubt. And let's just look over my minder. KMI over yesterday's high is a great add. We're already in it, long stock, but that's beautiful consolidation. Let me continue here. APRE. Oh, that's the one, the gapper. Cream thing is a weekly bullish on cream. Yeah, for a bounce. Sure. Yeah, we talked about this in MT Live also. Yeah, went sideways last week, bullish engulfing. You know what? I had one of my Bitcoin buddies. I was chatting with last night. And I had the hardest time, because with the conversation started, hey, Dan, I got 700,000 idle. What would you recommend for 3 months? What would you recommend I do with it for 3 months? And I said, I don't know. Just put it in the money market. I don't know. I said I wouldn't buy the market here. And then he loves Bitcoin. And he says, should I add to Bitcoin? I'm like, I'm not my style. And I was talking to him, and here was the reason. I'm like, Dave, the monthly chart is like a vertical rocket ship. And he said, yeah, but it's been going sideways for a month. I said, true. I said, could it be arresting on the daily to go higher? Absolutely. But I'm surely not going to tell you to put 700 grand into anything that looks like this. What a beautiful, beautiful inverse head and shoulders with a 2-bar reversal. I got to grab a screenshot of that. Let me write myself a note, put that in my reverse head and shoulder file. Wow, that's a beautiful week monthly charts in there. An oust. Sloppy. I don't like the tail. It was a nice gap, nice close, but there's just no compelling pattern here to me. Hey, John, your drop down. John's asking about this deck. Not bad. Look, I love the railroad track 2050 opening flat, maybe 10-minute high. Oh, I posted this little guy. 10-minute high. All right, Qualcomm's coming in here, so 10-minute high though, it's a nice gap. I have it in my other chart. Let me put here. HRF leak. And CDW up alarm. We're still in trail mode on this. You know what? If we only have a half, sell it. If we only sold a third, sell another third. I'm looking right now.